Hi, I'm Shannon McGee, strategic business coach and franchise owner with Network in Action here in the metropolitan Nashville area. And today I have Adam Malone with the Tenacious Operator. Thanks for joining me today, Adam.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
Well, it starts in the corporate world, which I guess a lot of entrepreneurial journeys do. I spent about 20 years in the corporate world and fell in love with operations and team leadership. But over a while, as I kind of what I found was that I love working and helping teams and leaders grow,
Mhm,
and I successfully did that. And
mhm,
I wanted to be able to expand that beyond one organization, frankly. So, what led me to take the jump in terms of an entrepreneurial journey is um, there's been a lot of fun in working with one team, and I did that for a long time. But I didn't want to constrain myself and, frankly, keep working on the same business problems over and over and then kind of get to add the leadership when we had time for it. I wanted to be able to
mm.
focus on how we build more great leaders and improve trust in the world.
Okay. So speaking of trust, you call
Yeah,
yourself like your title as a trust expert. Tell me more
yeah.
about that. That's super interesting.
So my belief in trust as a just a foundational aspect of what we do started in like 2017. I was asked to own a really contentious relationship with a an external partner. Well, they were Apple, and it led to $1 billion relationship between two companies. But in the beginning, the two companies did not get along. Like executives could barely be in the same room with each other.
Mm,
And so I recognized pretty quickly that unless we invested and developed trust between the companies and the teams, we weren't going to get very far.
mhm,
Um, Successfully did that. And then over a few years, I built a few other global teams. And through all of those interactions, found that the the defining characteristic of successful, sustained, high performing teams
mhm.
was multiple aspects related to trust, and
Okay.
kind of identified that as where I wanted to focus people, instead of solely on, well, we just need better leaders or we need to improve our culture. That we need to define trust more, focus on trust more, but then also help people break trust down into its components, because trust is not just being honest. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, it is.
And there's a lot to kind of invest in multiple places there.
I love your focus, right? Because you're right. There's generalists out there, but that focus is so important. So what might a company like, what might they be going through, or when might they be ready to talk to you? Like, what types of things should they be like looking at to determine, hey, maybe it's time to bring in a trust expert?
Yeah. So a really easy one is, if you have ever been a leader or you're a leader that has had projects that are all green, everything is a go. We're so excited about our launch. And then we get to maybe the month before, the week before, or even sometimes the day before that project launch. And all of a sudden, there's some catastrophic issues that mean we can't launch. And you have to ask yourself, were we really green for weeks or months or years, if now we get to the final stages and we're no longer green? To me, that's a really great example of people weren't willing to speak up before and say that there was a big
Mm,
issue, and so you wasted a lot of time and resource because you
yeah.
didn't have a appropriate level of trust in your culture for someone to call the baby ugly or to raise their hand and say we have a problem.
Yeah.
um, this the second time I'll mention is just whenever there's a lot of transition and change, what we need to be able to depend on is a fabric of trust that connects a team and an organization together. And so ideally we can invest in that before the change comes. Sometimes we don't realize until after the changes happen that we need to invest there. But times of change often put stress on trust. And it's the fabric of trust that really pulls the organization through that. And when I say fabric, part of what I'm talking about there is very weak trust organizations. They have one or two people who, when you kind of pull back the layers, are really like the trust conduits for the organization,
Hmm.
as opposed to when you think of a fabric, we've got lots of individual nodes that are all connected that are passing trust, and that makes for a much more durable and sustainable team.
I love that. And I love that imagery, that comparison you just gave. That's wonderful. So Adam, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way to reach you?
LinkedIn is almost always going to be the best. My profile is Adam Malone Speaks. I think there's a dash in there somewhere. But if you search for Adam Malone and you find a guy with a beard and a black and white photo, it's probably me. And
Okay.
I post there pretty much daily on leadership and trust.
Love it. So go follow you. It's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thanks for joining me today, Adam.
Thank you.